what number tonight of none of the above or uncommitted on the Democratic side alarms President Biden?
I think anything north of what Dean Phillips got in New Hampshire, I think if it's at all close, it's a really big story. And, it's different. It's not a write-in campaign. It's on the ballot, uncommitted. And so it's, depending on how people feel, you could see something that's pretty embarrassing.
That's what I think the real story tonight's on the Democratic side. I think President Trump's going to beat Ambassador Haley again, probably handily. You'll report that. Are you doing another special live tonight? Go as long as it goes.
We're going to do cut-ins tonight, and I'll be on the wrap-up show at 11.
Okay, so you'll be there to tell us whether or not there was a surprise on the Republican side, but I'm watching that uncommitted number tonight, and that is because Rashid Tlaib is out there urging people to vote uncommitted on the basis of that. Is that why you think the president? I don't want to put that, my opinion, in the form of the question. I have opined he declared a ceasefire as imminent in Israel because he wants to keep that uncommitted number down. What's your reporting tell you about whether or not a ceasefire is imminent, Bret Baier?
I think it's where it was, and I agree. By saying that, it sparked some hope, and it's amazing that it was said the day before the Michigan primary. But we don't know. I think that there are negotiations ongoing, and throwing it out there ahead of that definitely may dilute some of that.
Now, yeah, overnight on the Times of Israel reports, both Hamas spokesmen and government spokesmen have thrown cold water on the idea that they're close. Hamas said, no, we're not close. And the Israeli news, Channel 12 and others, said they're not close. What do you think? Do you think there's actually a deal and ought there to be a deal? Because I'm not a big favor of giving away people with, as the Israelis say, blood on their hands in exchange for hostages.
Yeah, I think that there's negotiations ongoing. Whether there should be a deal or not, I think Israel is still trying to get to the leadership of Hamas underneath Gaza. And I think that there is an expiration date of how long it can go. Now, what that date is and if it shifts, I think senior Israeli officials believe that a large portion of the remaining hostages are dead, as sad as that sounds. But that's what they believe. And so, I think that there will be an effort to get to an end game here, but it's probably not going to be immediate.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. So I switched to the second issue that may drive today's result in Michigan, which is the border. Malughian's amazing. I mean, if we have All-Star Awards at the Fox News Central, you're going to give one to Malughian because I think he really put this issue on the map. You were talking about it on Saturday night. We were watching your coverage after the South Carolina primary with Martha, with a bunch of Trump folk. And I was amazed about the Chinese numbers, which they then immediately confirmed. 40,000 adult Chinese males have crossed our border in the last 15 months, whereas it used to be a rather rare event. 40,000, Bret. And Bill has figured that out and reported that. Are you surprised by that number?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and, it could be very easily that they're escaping their country, and that's how they're coming in. However, it raises a lot of red flags, and it's not just China. I mean, it's everywhere over the map of significant numbers, north of 5,000 from Tajikistan. I mean, that's not a great number to see because some of these countries obviously are red flags for terrorists.
Well, I go back to the Reagan years when I was last held any kind of classification, and I know that we would never have allowed 40,000 Soviets to cross the southern border in the Reagan administration. We just wouldn't have allowed it. They would have been put into detention because you don't know, and they've all got to be vetted. We would go crazy about vetting one Russian that showed up. And I think maybe the Biden administration isn't aware that the CCP might be wanting to infiltrate people into the country. Have you ever heard Mayorkas or anybody voice this?
No. I mean, I've heard concerns about numbers, but not specifics of people. Look, fentanyl is getting in huge quantities, killing our people, let alone we don't know people getting in with malintent. So I think it's a really big problem, and obviously, Hugh, it is now the number one issue every state that we have seen, and I imagine it's going to be the number one issue in Michigan as well.
Well, they're both going to the border this week on Thursday. Both former President Trump and current President Biden are both going to the border. Do you think there's any way Joe Biden changes the public's perception of his border policies? Because I don't think it's possible.
No, I don't think so. And in fact, the White House is already forecasting that he's not going to issue executive orders on this trip. You don't know why, because he could have done it on day one, but he's not doing it, they say. I don't think so. I mean, I think that the cat is out. I mean, it's a issue that people really think is a big problem, not just in border states or red states, but in sanctuary states and blue states.
Now, do you have any reporting on what Mike Johnson's going to do with this Ukraine-Taiwan Defense Department and Israel aid supplemental? I'm hoping he attaches a couple of Christmas tree items, something the Republicans want, like the wall, something the Democrats want, like funding for the cities impacted by the migrants. But is it just dead, or is it negotiation time?
I think it's negotiation. I think it's there's still some thought that this thing is at least beating, and it's going to go back with something. I think there's a bipartisan effort to try to get some kind of skinny package through, even if the speaker is not for it. There's all kinds of rumors up on the Hill that that former president might do the State of the Union response. That would be quite something.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would actually outrank Biden's. That would get better ratings than Biden's. So
if that happens, it would be Mike Johnson saying, "Look over here at the shiny thing, and let's get some stuff done."
Yeah. All right. Last question, Bret Baier. You're coming on tonight, 6 to 7, normal hour for a special report. What are you doing again on Michigan coverage?
So we're doing cut-ins. We expect it's going to be a little bit later because some of those places in Michigan close later. So we'll be doing cut-ins, and then I'll do a full wrap-up on Trace's show.
All right. Thank you very much, Bret Baier. We'll be watching tonight because the quickest and the best decision desk in the news business is over at Fox News, and we'll be getting a decision. Watch for that number on Uncommitted. Watch for the number on Nikki Haley. Both will be tells on Super Tuesday coming up in a week.